Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it's another episode of Talking Cinema. It's been ages since I've done one of these, but I definitely think this one is going to be worth the wait. There's a lot of juicy stuff, a lot of juicy movie news, a lot of upcoming stuff that gets my blood flowing and gets my blood boiling. So there's going to be some rants, there's going to be some polite discussions, some stuff that I'm actually gonna admit that I'm looking forward to, because not everything is bad. But a lot of the time, though, when I look at movie news, a lot of it sucks. And without further ado, let's get started. The first bit of movie news I'm going to discuss is the one that I'm pretty sure a lot of people on here want to hear my thoughts on, and that is the news that MGM is potentially working on another RoboCop film. And it's going to be a direct sequel to the first film, and it's going to ignore the remake. It's going to ignore RoboCop. There's not going to be any more RoboCop in your face or RoboCop in your ass, and I'm very thankful for that. But when I read the portion that said this is going to be a direct sequel to the first movie, automatically it really pushed the wrong buttons for me. When I saw that, I was like, oh, fuck this. Really, I was like, alright, I didn't really have any desire to see another RoboCop film because of how badly this character has been treated, how badly this character has been taken care of over the years. I mean, this character has been run through the fucking meat grinder, fucked in the ass, thrown in the shitter since 1993, and nothing has been really done to preserve his legacy or make things better. If anything, things have just gotten worse. And this really just screams of MGM just wanting to still try to salvage this property. MGM's like, well, we need money. We have this popular property in RoboCop. Let's do another one. And then when we'll please the fans, because I know they didn't really like the remake, but we'll do a sequel. We'll give you what you want. We'll give you what you want. A sequel to the first movie. And I'm like, I don't want a sequel to the first film. I don't want you to just retcon shit and ignore RoboCop 2 as if it never fucking happened. I'm not the only one that feels that way either. What is up with this bullshit of these sequels that are just retconning underrated, overlooked sequels? It's like Texas Chainsaw 3D all over again, or Predators, or the upcoming Halloween sequel, which I also have no desire to see. There is nothing that a new Halloween film can do to really add anything to this franchise. It's pointless. I mean, in my opinion, it's utterly pointless. There is absolutely no reason for any more Halloween films. The franchise has been absolutely done to death already. There's no need for any more. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back. Whoop-de-fucking-do. She was in Halloween Resurrection, and she already did a sequel to the first two Halloween films in H2O, and I like that. So I don't understand why this is even a thing. Carpenter is like an executive producer. Good. I'm glad he's getting work. Doesn't mean it's going to be a Carpenter film. The screenplay is by Danny McBride. What is this, a joke? And then speaking of jokes, RoboCop sequel. Ed Normeyer, one of the guys who was working on, who worked on the script, who wrote the script for the 1987 film. Yeah, he also wrote the script for the Corporate Wars script that was not used for RoboCop 2. It was kind of lame. That ultimately turned into the pilot for RoboCop the series. I think this is also the same guy who praised the remake when it came out. It might have been Michael Miner. I don't know for sure, but I know one of them was singing nothing but praise to the fucking RoboCop when it came all over screens in a couple years ago. So just because Normeyer's involved, I'm supposed to automatically be like, oh, this is gonna be great. No, I've been burned far too many times by this franchise to be burned again. All right, I'm not gonna put my hand on the stove. I'm not gonna do it. All right, not gonna go there. as much as I love his character, I'm not going to try to put myself through that misery again. I did that with RoboCop. I'm not doing it again. So, but let's look at some things on the positive side here. All right, but it's hard for me to do that because they're going to ignore RoboCop 2 as if it never existed, which is bullshit. That's a pretty damn good movie in my opinion that gets way too much shit nowadays that it does not deserve. But okay. I think that's completely unnecessary, that direction, because that's the same direction the Predators took, or Texas Chainsaw 3D. And yeah, that worked out great for those movies. But, okay, if it's just going to be a direct sequel to the original, 20 years later, what are you going to do? Weller's not going to get back in that suit. Weller won't even do interviews for RoboDoc, okay? He won't even sit down and do interviews for this comprehensive documentary on the RoboCop films and the RoboCop franchise. He won't even do it. So do you think he's going to get in the suit? Not going to happen. Richard Eden is too old, just like Weller, not going to get back in the suit. Who are you going to cast to play RoboCop? Who are you going to cast to do that? Carl Urban? Going to have him wear a helmet again? And speaking of Carl Urban, if MGM hires Alex Garland and the crew that did Dread 3D, then I'm going to be curious about it. I'm not going to get my hopes up about it, but if MGM hires those guys to work on it, then I'll at least be curious about it, and I'll have a sliver of hope for it, because I know how well they did Dread 3D. And I'm curious to see what they could do with RoboCop. But if that doesn't happen, and we got some new guys who haven't done much, or we get some, God forbid, somebody like David Goyer working on it, then it's dead to me, alright? And honestly, I'd rather them not do a live-action sequel that ignores RoboCop 2 in the first place. I would rather them do a anime or an animated series that could be on Netflix or on some other streaming platform that can have Weller return to the role. Weller voiced Batman in The Dark Knight Returns. I think Weller might be willing to do voiceover work for a RoboCop series if it's good enough, if the quality is good, if it's got some good writing. I think he might be up for that. Same goes for a lot of the other cast members. You could do something like The Last Stand, which is based on the original script idea for RoboCop 3. Or you could come up with some whole new concept. You could do a RoboCop versus Terminator animated movie. And you could have Arnold and Weller voice RoboCop and the Terminator. How awesome would that be? And you could have it animated in the style of Frank Miller's comic. But that's probably not what they're going to do, because they don't think that's profitable enough. They don't think people are going to be into that. But I think there's so much more flexibility in an animated series or an anime than there is in just one sequel. And you could do more. It'll also be cheaper to make. But that's just my personal opinion. And if they're not going to go that route, then do a video game. Okay? Make a RoboCop video game that is legitimately good. Because the only RoboCop video games that are good are the arcade games. That's from like the late 80s and the early 90s, okay? There's not been a good RoboCop game since 1990. And that's a crying shame. It really is. That's definitely not something that anyone should buy for $1. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, it's been 1990. For fuck's sake. The last RoboCop game was that piece of shit game by Titus. And I think there was some mobile game tied to the fucking remake. RoboCop deserves better than that. You can make a great game with RoboCop. Just have people who actually give a shit about the character, know what he's about, know what the fuck they're doing, and roll with that. I'd rather see an ultra-violent video game with voiceover work by Weller or Richard Eden. Eden is an okay choice. If Weller won't do the animated series, or won't do a video game, then I'm okay with having Richard Eden reprise the role again. Because Richard Eden, as bad as a lot of episodes of RoboCop the series are, he was actually pretty good as RoboCop. Unlike Paige Fletcher, who's fucking Robo Midget, who's like shorter than his female co-stars. He's walking around like he's fucking Dark Helmet from Spaceballs. It's ridiculous, okay? And then, of course, I mean, it's just what... I swear, I think there are some people who are like super excited about this and looking forward to it. I don't think they remember the pain. I don't think they remember how truly atrocious RoboCop 3 was and how much it damaged the character and the franchise. I don't think they remember how bad some of the episodes of RoboCop the series were. I don't think they remember some of the bullshit that happened in that show where RoboCop was like shooting trick shots and he was fighting villains straight out of Dick Tracy. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't remember the atrocity that was Alpha Commando, where RoboCop is turned into Inspector Gadget. He's got all this kind of shit popping out of every which way but loose. Toilet paper rolls, roller skates, parachutes, can openers, the works. And then, not only, if that isn't bad enough, you got the Canadian Sci-Fi Channel miniseries Prime Directives with Paige Fletcher, the hitchhiker himself, as Robo Midget, and a black RoboCop who's got black armor. You got a fucking villain who's straight out of the Black Scorpion TV series and Bone Crusher or Bone Machine, where the fuck his name was. And that was a direct sequel to the first two films, if I remember correctly. So they already did that shit, and it was shit. So no. I honestly, in my opinion, if you can't get Alex Garland or the team that worked on Dredd, if you can't toss this stupid idea of retconning RoboCop 2, if you don't want to do an animated series or an anime or a video game, then let Alex Murphy rest in peace. Because he's been through enough already. That's my piece. That's my rant on the new RoboCop sequel. I have no desire to see this unless they do it the right way, and I have not seen it done the right way since 1990. So I don't have a lot of hope for that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the fact that the New Mutants, which is an upcoming film based on the New Mutants comics, which was heavily advertised as some darker, edgier, more violent, potentially R-rated X-Men movie that is essentially an X-Men horror film. And at first I was kind of iffy on it because it's kind of taking a lot of chances with the source material, but then it grew on me, and I was actually curious about it. Well, I recently heard some news that there was a test screening, and it did go well, but something happened where Fox wasn't pleased with the potential that the film might have had in terms of box office, so they decided to revert to being 20th century fuck faces and made the film PG-13. The director, Josh Boone, has just admitted it's going to be PG-13. So there goes a lot of my interest for the film. And I'm not alone on that. A lot of people who were interested in this movie were people who were interested in the film because it was going to be rated R. It was going to be a hard R horror film based on the X-Men mythos. Of course, which I mean the New Mutants mythos. So it was going to be part of the X-Men franchise. It was R-rated. It was going to be a continuation of their bold new direction that they took with Deadpool and Logan that were critically successful as well as financially successful. It was a direction that they took that actually worked out really well for Fox. Now, I don't know if this might be tied into Disney and how they've acquired 20th Century Fox or 21st Century Fox's rights and all of this. I don't know what's going on with that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Disney was already working with Fox and a few other things. Actually, I don't think they were really working with Fox that much. But Disney, I mean, I would not be surprised if they're micromanaging some shit already. But then again, Fox is known for this kind of shit too. So I shouldn't be surprised that Fox has reverted to their fuckface ways and is like, oh, well, we can make more money if it's PG-13. And they're going to do reshoots. And they're trying to make it better. Yeah, yeah. Since when does that work out? We're going to do reshoots to make it better or make it scarier. We're going to make it scarier. So the translation for that to me is you're going to add more jump scares. You're going to be like, more jump scares. More generic jump scares, please. And it's one of those things. It's like, you're just going to turn this into Ouija? I hated Ouija. I don't want to see a Ouija inspired New Mutants movie. I was worried about that because it kind of looked like a Blumhouse film, and that's what they're going to do now. They're not even going to go all out with it. They're going to make a PG-13 Blumhouse fucking X-Men New Mutants movie. You're not even sticking to your guns, Fox. And I don't understand why. Logan and Deadpool were really successful. Why are you wanting to back away from that? Why are you wanting to back down from that direction? Why are you choosing to neuter this film before it even is released because of some ethereal concept that it could make more money if it's PG-13? You know what? It could also make less money because it's PG-13. Do you think Deadpool would have been as successful as it was if it was PG-13? Hell no. Do you think Logan would have been as successful as it was if it was PG-13? No. So, if anything, I think the New Mutants could underperform now because the interest that a lot of people had in this film was because it was rated R. Even people who weren't even into the New Mutants were interested in the film because it was marketed as a potentially R-rated horror film. And now it's going to be PG-13? You're losing that audience. This is Fox being out of touch, out of time, not knowing what the fuck they're doing, and just looking at a successful test screening. And I don't know why you're like, the screening was successful for a film that was made to be an R. Let's make it PG-13. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And of course, Boone, the director, now has to go into damage control mode and PR mode and be like, well, this movie is probably the hardest PG-13 ever made. I mean, we've pushed it. The horror is pretty dark, but there's also an emotional core too. If I could scare you and make you cry, that's the goal. And then he's hoping, he was going for an R. That's what he was going for, and now it's a PG-13. Now he has to change gears and be like, it's going to be the hardest PG-13 ever made. It's probably going to be every bit as hard as any other PG-13 horror film. I don't see how you're going to be able to get away with that much. I'm sorry, Josh. The Fox just clipped your balls. That's pretty much what happened. They just said, you know what? Nah. No. We don't have faith in this making enough money as an R-rated film. We're going PG-13. You're either with us or you aren't, Josh. And Josh is an up-and-coming director in Hollywood, so he's like, all right, well, I'll just make the best damn PG-13 movie ever made. It's just one of those things that's just, it's really too bad. I did not want to see that. I was like, and I was worried about it. I was even, when I talked about the trailer, I was like, what is this going to be, a PG-13 horror movie? And that's exactly what it's going to be. I'll still check it out. I'll still give it a shot. But I feel this is a movie that's going to be massive in terms of its wasted potential. It's going to be a film I'm going to see, and then I'm going to be like, damn, why was this not R-rated? And it's not just because, the R rating for blood and guts and gore and whatever. It's about tone. It's about flexibility. It's about embracing what it wants to be. It's about being able to go full throttle. It's about being able to push the limits and go past them. And it's not going to be able to do that with a PG-13 rating. That's just not going to happen now. Now, another bit of news I want to talk about, of course, is the Fox Disney merger. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are really psyched about this because Fantastic Four is coming back to Marvel, and X-Men is back with Marvel, and all this other stuff is back with Marvel. And I'm starting to get a little bit burned out on Marvel and their MCU lately, and I don't like the idea of X-Men and all these, especially X-Men, being back with Marvel, because they're just going to reboot everything. They're just going to reboot everything. They're going to make it safe. They're going to play it safe. The only thing they might stick with in terms of an R-rated edgy franchise is Deadpool, but there's no guarantees that they won't try to clip his balls or censor his mouth, but we'll see. And I know there's people who are saying things like, well, Disney has done this before with other studios, and they could just release stuff on Hollywood Pictures. Or look what they did with these, well, Hollywood Pictures isn't around anymore. They've released stuff with Touchstone Pictures, and they could do some other things. And it's not like they haven't done this stuff in the past. Yeah, but a lot of the people who worked at Disney, who were overseeing things going on in Hollywood Pictures, they're no longer working at Disney. You have a bunch of people who have no experience handling another studio. And if you think for a second Disney's not gonna try to micromanage things, have you been living under a rock lately with the whole stuff involving Solo and The Last Jedi and all this other stuff? Because they're gonna do some shit. Okay, they're not just gonna let Fox do whatever the fuck they want and not keep tabs on them. Disney's all about money, and Disney's all about marketing, and Disney's all about their image. You think for a second they're just going to let Fox, under their watch, just wildly do whatever the fuck they want? You're dreaming, okay? And here's another reason why that's the case. Because in the past, they've had studios where they've let them do more edgier, riskier projects, but they've still had control, and they've still managed them, and they've still put their foot down when certain projects or certain films don't agree with their sensibilities. And a prime example of this is 1995's Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd was a film that was released by Hollywood Pictures, which was at the time owned by Disney. Disney did not like the fact that this was an ultra-violent R-rated movie, and they are one of the main reasons why this R-rated film looks like it's a PG-13 movie, because so much shit was cut out, so many things were dropped, so many sequences were completely left out of the film because Disney didn't feel it fit their image and what they wanted to present to their audiences, and the film was effectively neutered before it was released. So tell me again why I should be looking at Disney owning Fox and all these other Fox studios and these Fox films, and tell me why I should have faith. Because there's a lot of people who are like, you should have faith because look what they did with this, and look what they did with this, look what they did with Netflix. That's one thing. That's one instance. But Netflix isn't an entire... The Netflix shows are not an entire studio. They're not... It's a completely different thing. It's just this one series, a couple series of shows. I'm very skeptical about it. Extremely skeptical about it, and I hope Disney proves me wrong. I don't want to be proven right here. I don't want to be proven right that Disney's going to micromanage the shit out of Fox and potentially run it out of business, or shutter things like Fox Searchlight, because look what they did with Miramax. They owned Miramax for a while and shuttered it down because they didn't want to support making and spending all this money on indie films that aren't making money for their studio and helping their bottom line. So it's one of those things where we'll see. But if you, the reason why they did this is not out of necessity, and it's not out of, well, we just want to have Marvel, all these Marvel characters all under one roof. It's not because they wanted the Fantastic Four back. It's not because they wanted the X-Men back. That's a little bit of it. They wanted to buy Fox, and they bought Fox so they could have a whole catalog of films at their disposal to put on their streaming platform that they're working on to compete with Netflix. They did it for money. That's the main reason why. They didn't buy Fox and the rights to their films so they could make your beloved Fantastic Four movie. They didn't do that. They did it so they can make money. They did it so they can continue to have a stranglehold over Hollywood. They did it so they could have leverage. They did it so they could be richer than they already are because they're greedy. This mouse is a greedy, slimy bastard, okay? This mouse doesn't give a fuck about you, doesn't give a fuck about what you think, doesn't give a fuck about what you want out of your Fantastic Four or X-Men movie. They don't, Mickey Mouse don't give a shit. Mickey Mouse just cares about the Benjamins. That's all he cares about right now. And this Fox deal is a prime example of that. It was all about money. It wasn't about what you wanted. And that's why I was against it, because that's all it was. It's just Disney trying to become an even bigger monopoly than it already is. It's scary to me. I don't like the idea of one studio controlling so much output that's coming out in theaters. I don't like that idea. That means they can single-handedly cripple creativity or certain ideas or concepts because they'd be like, we don't want to support that because we don't like that. We don't like that idea. It's too edgy. It's too non-PC. We don't want to go in that direction. And look at how they've been treating Star Wars lately. Do you really think I want them to be controlling other Fox franchises? Yes, Alien and Predator have been in the shitter for a while, and so is Die Hard. But that doesn't mean that I want Disney to have control over those franchises. I don't think they're going to do any better. They could potentially do worse. And then what about the home video thing? Disney's going to put all their effort into doing the streaming stuff. Might as well say bye-bye to that Abyss Blu-ray you've been waiting for years, or the True Lies Blu-ray that James Cameron's been teasing for year after year. Because Disney doesn't give a flying fuck about home video releases. They don't care about Blu-rays, except if it's a Marvel movie or a popular animated movie. If it's a film like The Mighty Ducks, you'd be lucky to get it on one of their limited whatever edition releases on their Disney Movie Club. And all it would be bare bones, and that's it. They don't give a shit about special features. They don't give a crap about that kind of shit. So why would I think that Disney would all of a sudden change their minds and actually put some effort into their home video releases? They own Fox's film rights. They own the distribution rights to 20th Century Fox films now. Do you think Disney's going to do that much with them for home video? Fuck no. They're going to charge you $10 a month to be able to stream them on their new service. That's what they're going to do. And they'll release less movies on DVD or Blu-ray than Fox already was doing. So if you're into physical media, Disney doesn't really give a shit about that aspect unless it's already a popular movie. So yeah, I'm worried. And this isn't all sunshine and rainbows to me. There are some positives, and it would be nice to see a legitimately good Fantastic Four film, but not at this price. At least not for me anyway. But like I said earlier, I hope they get it right. But I just think there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I think there's just too much they're going to have to handle, and I don't think they can do it. I don't think you can juggle the responsibility of Marvel, Lucasfilm, and an entire studio, an entire other studio. I don't think they can do it. They proved that they couldn't do it when they had Hollywood Pictures and they had Miramax. So it's one of those things where I don't have a lot of faith in that. Now, when it comes to other movie news, there's not a whole lot. I mean, there could be a sequel to Black Dynamite with Michael J. White, which I really would love to see that. Oh, and Dundee. Now, I didn't do a video about this because when I first heard about this news, I was like, oh, this is stupid. And I was like, why are we doing this? And then And then I watched a video that my friend Matt made, and then he had this theory that it could be a fake ad for the Super Bowl. And then I was like, yeah, this does honestly sound too stupid to be true. That this is like some out of the blue 2018 Crocodile Dundee sequel with Danny McBride as the son of Crocodile Dundee. And the teaser was terrible, and I didn't really invest a lot of stock in the idea that it was going to be a sequel, an actual movie. And well, it turns out it isn't. It's just an ad that's going to play at the Super Bowl. Chris Hemsworth was in one little teaser that was shown on YouTube. Regardless, it doesn't matter to me because the idea is stupid, the idea is moronic, the idea is dumb, and it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time and money to make some superficial bullshit Super Bowl ad that has Danny McBride playing the fool as Crocodile Dundee's son, when you could have spent that money to invest in a proper release of the first or the second film on Blu-ray with interviews with Paul Hogan and commentary with the director and so on and so forth. The fact that they blew all that money, probably millions, because they're going to play this at the Super Bowl, when they could have used that to make some Blu-rays that are actually worth a damn for a film, at least the first film that was the most successful film in 1986. It's frustrating because it's like, why not do that? Why not do that instead? Because the future is not with home video, it's not with physical media, it's with streaming. And as much as I like Netflix, as much as I like things like Stranger Things and other stuff like that, I don't like the idea of a future where no more physical media releases are being made except for exclusives that are like the records nowadays that cost you 50, 60 fucking bucks for one. And I don't like that idea because streaming, if you don't have internet, you're fucked. Also, they're still not up to the same par as physical media releases in terms of picture quality and audio. They're getting there, but they're still not quite there yet. Also, what about features? I like special features. I like seeing documentaries. I like seeing featurettes. I might even listen to a commentary every now and then. I don't see that many special features that are on digital streaming. I don't see very many features on Netflix for shows that are streaming. You don't even see... Netflix released Stranger Things Season 1 on Blu-ray recently, and it had no features at all. So do you really think that in the future, that when streaming is taken over, that these studios are going to really put the time and effort into putting features that you can watch? More than likely, probably not. So wave bye-bye to those exclusive special features, those fascinating making of documentaries, the featurettes from back in the day, interviews of the cast and crew. You're going to have to find those on YouTube. If you're lucky. Don't like that idea. I'm not all for that. Streaming's nice. I like it. But I don't think it should just completely take over. But that's just my personal opinion. Because I don't think streaming is the same sort of thing in terms of when you're comparing VHS to DVD. It's not that much more superior than physical media. And in a lot of ways, it isn't. And there's something about actually owning the film. There's something about actually having the movie in your hands. You know, there's something about that. You know, it's a nice thing. I mean, this is a VHS. And this movie probably isn't really the best. But there's something to be said about actually having a physical copy of something. You know, holding it in your hands and having an actual connection with it. A tactile connection with it. Which is missing with streaming. And with a lot of stuff nowadays. A lot of people are on their phones all the time and texting or doing Snapchat or doing Instagram or whatever. And there's people who are with their families in a public place, and they're not even talking to each other. They're texting to their friends or whatever. They're in a whole nother world. And there's just a lot of there's a loss of connection nowadays. There's a serious disconnect, and I don't like the direction that where things are heading. I don't. Now, as for any other stuff, there's a trailer for a film I saw called Summer of '84. Now in Collider, it's got a lot of bad review. It's got a really bad review saying it's empty nostalgia and it's just a version of Stranger Things, which irritates the hell out of me. I am a big fan of Stranger Things, but please stop saying if a film that comes out after Stranger Things that takes place in the 80s is a Stranger Things ripoff. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. And you want to know why? Stranger Things itself is a homage and a send-off or a send-up and a copy of tropes and elements and plot lines and storylines from 80s movies. Stranger Things is not the most original thing. Like, Stranger Things isn't like, I mean, it's one of those things that it's really crazy to me. It's like, oh, Summer of '84, it's just another Stranger Things. You see the comment section on YouTube and everyone's just saying it's just Stranger Things with older kids. Stranger Things is not even that original itself, and that doesn't necessarily bother me, because I'm of the mindset that there is no such thing as an original idea anymore, especially when it comes to movies or TV shows. It just doesn't exist. Okay? I was down that road. I was like, this isn't original, this isn't unique, this isn't blah blah blah. And then I realized, through doing a lot of research, looking up list after list of film after film after film, that there have been too many films made since the invention of cinema to really criticize any film that comes out this year or the next or the year after that or the decade after that. There's been too many films that have been made to really harp on and really nail a film because it isn't original. No shit, it isn't original. What I care about is, does it do something that makes it its own? Does it take a spin on an old idea? Does it weave a new web? If it does that, then I'm fine with that, because it still added something to that old concept, to that old idea, and made it somewhat fresh again. It wasn't just rehashing or repeating the same thing. And Stranger Things did that. And Summer of '84 looks like it could possibly do that too. I was disappointed by Turbo Kid, the film that the people who did Summer of '84 did, but I'm curious about it. So I'll give that a shot sometime. And Gunpowder and Sky is releasing it, and they did Tragedy Girls, which I really liked. So I definitely have some hope for that one. As for any other bits of news, I mean, there's a lot of different sort of stuff, but I mean, the main things I wanted to talk about were the RoboCop sequel, Dundee, New Mutants, Disney buying Fox, and I think I'll end this episode of Talking Cinema with a look at this list from Collider, which is talking about 21 horror movies that get hyped about in 2018. Now, the first one they're listing is Mom and Dad, which I agree with. This looks like a batshit crazy film, and I definitely want to see this one. It's got Nicolas Cage, Selma Blair, Lance Henriksen, and it's about it's kind of like a zombie sort of apocalypse sort of thing that kind of happens. Brian Taylor from Navadine and Taylor, he's directing this, who worked on the Crank films. He's got this unique style about him. Looks like he's bringing that back with the direction for this. It's going to be R-rated, and it's just this craziness where there's these kids are being stalked and chased after by their mom and dad, and one of the dads is played by Nicolas Cage. So this gives Cage the unique opportunity to just be completely unhinged, and that it looks like a lot of fun. It really does. And I like the idea too of moms and dad, the parents just going batshit crazy, trying to kill their kids. It's ballsy. It's something that looks like it could be a fun movie, and overall, I'm definitely interested in that one. Winchester, which is coming out in February. I am also curious about this one. Helen Mirren in a horror film that looks like it's more of a throwback, old school type horror movie in the vein of The Haunting, the original Haunting by Robert Wise, the 1968 film, not the shitty remake, or The Changeling. I like the concept of the Winchester house and all these different ghosts that were trapped there. Yes, it might not be based on fact, but that's okay. Um, I've heard some people criticize it for not being that original, and I'm like, I don't really care. Like, once again, originality is not the main thing for me. It's, was it entertaining? Was it well made? Did it have some good direction? Did it have likable characters? Was there some creepy moments? It's one of those things. It's like originality is down on the list of is down on the totem pole, way down on the totem pole for me right now. It's been that way for a while. I've just come to terms with that. And I've been able to enjoy so many more movies because of that. I've been able to look past that and just enjoy movies for what they are, and for better or for worse. And sometimes, they're worse, but sometimes they're actually pretty good. And if I harped on how unoriginal the concept was, then it wouldn't be as good of a movie to me. So I just don't I don't do that anymore. At least I try not to. But Winchester, I like the look of the trailer, and I'll give it a shot. And I have a movie pass, so I will check that out. That's one of the films I'll definitely check out with my movie pass. And I'm glad I have it because I was able. It opens doors for me. It opens things that I could see movies in the theater that I might have been meh on, but now I can see them in the theater, and it's a good deal. And that it's a good deal for you guys too, and you gals, because I know there's a few gals who are watching. And it opens up doors for you because you can see more reviews from me of newer films, which I know some people have been wanting to see more of my thoughts on newer movies. But yeah, Winchester, curious about it. I'll give it a watch. I'll give it a shot. I like the look of the trailer. Helen Mirren being in there is a bonus. So yeah. Hellraiser Judgment, on the other hand, fuck that shit. Doug Bradley isn't doing it. It looked cheap. It looked shitty. The guy they have to play Pinhead, at least he looks more like Pinhead than the other guy in Revelations. But the Hellraiser franchise is another franchise that just needs to die. Okay, there's nowhere else to take this franchise. It was stretching things thin with Part 3, and then it fell apart after that. You had Inferno that was decent, but that wasn't even really a true Hellraiser film. It was more like a pilot for some Hellraiser TV miniseries or something, where Pinhead would introduce stories or something. And then after that, it was just nothing but torture. And this looks like more of the same. And it just looks like they're remaking Inferno. Like, I've already seen this plot with a cop and the Cenobites. I already saw that. It's called Inferno. And if I want to see that again, I'll just watch Inferno. Annihilation, directed by Alex Garland. I like Alex Garland. That's why I really want to give this a shot. Although I did not like Ex Machina. I think it's one of the most overrated films of recent memory. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on that, look up my review on the movie. But Annihilation, it's one of those I'll check out with my movie pass, but I'm not really that excited for. It doesn't look like much of a horror movie. There's a lot of CGI in it, looks like it. And it just looks like a lot of stupidity, because in the trailer alone, there's this plot is revealed. There's some girl, one of the girl's boyfriends goes into this mysterious alien bubble, comes out of it, and he's really sick and dying. They put him in quarantine, and then the girlfriend and her other scientist girlfriends, they go into this alien bubble without any protection whatsoever. No hazmat suits, no nothing. And automatically, like, A minute into the trailer, I'm like, bullshit. This is stupid. Like, really? Alex, you're taking notes from Ridley Scott's Prometheus and Alien Covenant? Like, why are you doing that, man? Just don't do that. Like, what? I mean, right off the bat, it's already lost me. Well, that's a nitpick. No, it's a major thing. It's a major problem. The movie's trying to be marketed as some smart sci-fi film, and you have these main characters doing dumb shit. Okay, that's not a good sign for the overall film. Plus, it's called Annihilation. And there hasn't been a single thing with the term annihilation in it in terms of a movie that has been good. You have Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which was a piece of shit. I think there was another thing that was called something Annihilation, and it was awful. So I can't think of anything that has Annihilation in the title that wasn't a bag of dicks. So, yeah. I'll give it a watch. I'll give it a chance. Don't really see that much going for it, but we'll see. The Strangers Prey at Night. I didn't like The Strangers. I thought it was an overrated movie. I thought it was just a generic home invasion film that I've seen done a million times. This looks like more of the same, but I guess with the movie pass, maybe we'll movie pass it. Some film called Unsane with Steven Soderbergh. And Steven Soderbergh is, in my opinion, an incredibly overrated director. So I really don't give a shit about Unsane. I don't care about his new film. The Endless. Oh, the guys who did Spring and Resolution are doing another film. That's something I'm curious about. That's a horror film I'm curious about for sure. Because those guys are very creative. They know what they're doing. They're very talented, so I'm curious about that one. Truth or Dare looks like another lame, forgettable Blumhouse film. Nah, I don't know. Nothing that really impressed me that much, but I'll movie pass it. I want to watch more horror films in the theater because sometimes even some of the shitty ones in the theater, if you have the atmosphere, if you have the crowd around you, it can make it somewhat of a salvageable experience. A Quiet Place, really looking forward to this one. I like Emily Blunt, and I like the idea of... It's actually one of my most anticipated films of 2018, because I really like the concept of this post-apocalyptic future, and there's these creatures that are outside, and they respond to sound, so there's a lot of things you can do with that to build a lot of suspense. God Particle... I don't really care for the Cloverfield universe, but then I've heard that it might not really be a Cloverfield sequel, but then I've heard things that it could be, and then I heard the Paramount isn't even going to release it in the theater, so it's just going to be a Netflix movie. I don't know what to say about that one, except I'm not really that interested in it. The Purge, The Island, it's a prequel to The Purge. I don't know. I'm about up to here with the franchise. I think it's reached its purge point. I think it's reached the point where it's starting to back up. Like it's starting to come back up. So it's like making yourself throw up, and then it's just one of those things where I really do feel this franchise is starting to become bulimic or something, and is starting to make itself throw up and waste away, because really the purge stands for... Maybe we need to purge this franchise, because after the second film, it's been all downhill from there. The Nun, it's a spin-off of The Conjuring 2, and the Nun character in that, and I'm going to have none of it, because I'm not interested. But I might see it in the theater, but I'm not really that. I don't have a lot of hope for it. Or hopes, because I don't even have one hope for it. The Meg... I'm not going to make a Family Guy joke like a lot of people would here. I'll wait for a trailer. I like crazy fun and monster movies. This could be one of those films. I like Deep Blue Sea. Jason Statham's going to be in it. So we'll see. The Predator, I really do want to have a lot of hope for this. I want to be psyched for The Predator. No, this video is not sponsored by Mellow Yellow. Oh, that would be really nice, though. I just needed to get a drink. Prepare myself for another little mini rant. Like I said, I want to be psyched for The Predator. But Shane Black's recent outing, I mean, other than The Nice Guys, has been disappointing, his recent outings. And the reason why I want to be psyched for is for Fred Decker. Because I want him to have some kind of career renaissance. Because I think he's a very talented writer and director. Yes, he's very much to blame for RoboCop 3, but he's also the guy who did The Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps. And he wrote some really great episodes of Tales from the Crypt. This is a guy who's talented. But everything that I've heard about this, from the casting to a leaked script, extremely worries me. It really does. And the leaked script that I saw, I thought, I was like, oh, it's just a script treatment. Doesn't mean it's necessarily true. But then I started seeing some casting choices. Then I started to see some other hints at what the story is. They were trying to say stuff like it's not in the suburbs. And now they're like, no, it is in the suburbs. And there's that kid. And then there's this other stuff. And as soon as I heard all that, I was like, oh, fuck. Come on, Fred. No. I can't say anything about it. I cannot really divulge the details to you. But I really want to, because I really want to get it off my chest. But when this film comes out, I will definitely check it out. And if it is as bad as that leaked script is, or if there's a lot of elements from that leaked script that are in this movie, this is gonna suck. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna be a spine buster. Okay, this is not gonna be a good experience for Predator fans. This is gonna be like the Predator showed up, banged down your door, shoved his hand up your ass, and ripped your skull and your spine straight out of your ass. That's what it's gonna be like. Because this is gonna make Predators look like a fucking masterpiece. It's gonna make Alien vs. Predator look great in comparison, and it's gonna make AVPR look wonderful. Trust me on that. So you better cross your fingers and hope and pray that The Predator is not at all like that script. That it is, because if it is, we are all fucked. Okay, we're all boned. Then we have Halloween, which they're just calling Halloween. Not calling Halloween Revival or some other fucking subtitle, just Halloween. Really? You're just, if you're gonna call it Halloween, then I might as well just not even watch your movie, because you're not even putting any effort into your title. Okay, you already had a movie called Halloween. It was the fucking remake with Rob Zombie. All right. Are we gonna have 3 Halloweens now? I'm gonna have to differentiate between 3 of them. I mean, hey, have you seen Halloween? Yeah, the one with David Gordon Green. I'm like, no, not that one. The Halloween. Well, what? Rob Zombies? No, Halloween. Oh, John Carpenter's Halloween, of course. I don't like the idea that I have to say John Carpenter's Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, and David Gordon Green's Halloween. Put some fucking effort into your titles. If you don't put any effort in your title, why would I want to put that much effort into watching your movie? That isn't bad enough. Danny McBride working on the script. I mean, why? Of all the people? And Jamie Lee Curtis is back, so what? Nick Castle is back playing the Shape. So a 70-year-old man's back playing the Shape. Am I supposed to like throw a fucking parade? Oh, yay! He's back! He's gonna stumble and slowly walk around. There's no earthly reason for this other than nostalgia, and let's just cash in on another franchise that was big at one time. And I'm sick of it. I honestly want these iconic franchises to rest in peace. That's my personal opinion. They've had their chances. They've had their time in the sun. There's been enough movies. Okay? Leave room for new horror icons or new horror characters or franchises. When you keep digging up Michael Myers or digging up Jason Voorhees or digging up Freddy Krueger or Pinhead or Chucky till the end of fucking time. All right? There has to be a moment where you're done. Okay? It's over. With Universal Monsters, there was a moment where it was done. It was over. Okay? And they're trying to bring it back with Dark Universe, and then it was over before it even started. So there's really no need to keep doing this other than nostalgia and a quick buck, because that's mainly what it is. Because sadly a lot of horror fans are just going to be like, Halloween, where's my money? It's got Michael Myers in it. Here's my money. Here's everything. I'm going to be there opening night with bells on and with a heart on. But these more original, well, not necessarily more original, but I mean these more inventive, somewhat unique horror films, I was not going to see this in the theater. Halloween, Michael Myers. Oh, and Halloween 3 sucks because Michael Myers isn't in it. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, Halloween 3 is so terrible just because Michael Myers isn't in the movie. Yeah, because Halloween 5 is a great film. Halloween 6 was a masterpiece. Resurrection was amazing. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. That was one of the best movies I've ever seen. That anybody has ever seen. That was a masterpiece. It was a revelation. No. Just because Michael Myers is in the film doesn't mean it's automatically worth watching. Same thing applies to this new Halloween. The house that Jack built. Lars von Trier, the guy who did Antichrist. I'm not even going to bother with that. The Suspiria remake. No. I'm just not. You cannot replicate or try to even come remotely close to Argento. Argento has, at least early in his career, he was a maestro, a master of filmmaking, a master of visuals. And there's no way you're going to recreate that. There's no way you're going to be able to grasp that again or grab that again. So I don't understand a Suspiria remake. It doesn't matter who's in the cast. Tilda Swinton, Dakota Johnson, Chloe Grace Moretz, Jessica Harper's making a cameo. Doesn't matter to me. They're not going to replicate or come close to Argento. I don't even know why they're even trying. It's like Carpenter. I don't know why people try to remake Carpenter films. Because you're not gonna come close. Same thing applies with Argento. Anna and the Apocalypse. Christmas zombie musical. I don't like that idea automatically. Christmas zombie musical? Summer of '84. Yes, curious about that one. Something called Piercing? Starring the chick who played Alice in Alice in Wonderland. It's a movie called Revenge, which is just some rape revenge movie. Could care less. That's what we have to look forward to in 2018? That's the 21 horror films to get hyped about in 2018. We got Mom and Dad, Winchester, at least for me. The Endless. A Quiet Place. So I think it's like 4. Maybe Meg, so that might be 5. Summer of '84, 6. Revenge, don't care. So that's not even that's not 21 for me. Like that's not even remotely close. So whatever, we'll see. We'll see what 2018 brings in terms of horror. Now, before I go, and I know this has been a pretty long video, but I had a lot to say, and I hope you guys enjoyed it up to this point. I hope you guys enjoy, and after this point too. I just want to briefly mention the Oscars and stuff like that. And what I'm going to say is, really don't give a shit. I mean, congratulations to The Shape of Water for getting a lot of nominations that it deserves. But Blade Runner of 2049 not getting anything. I think it might have gotten a cinematography nomination or something, but I don't know for sure. It might not have gotten any. I think it got a nomination for cinematography. It better, and like maybe visual effects, or maybe score or whatever. I haven't really looked it up just yet. I don't think it got any nominations for Best Picture though. I'm just gonna look at it real quick. At the end of the day, I don't really give a crap about Hollywood's circle jerk that is the Oscars, but I'm curious to see what kind of nominations Blade Runner 2049 has. And yes, I will review that in Blade Runner. In fact, I will be doing that next. Okay, so it did get some nominations. Okay, it got a nomination for Best Cinematography, which I honestly think it should win, although Shape of Water had some really phenomenal cinematography. Blade Runner 2049, I think it's a little bit above it. Best visual effects, best sound mixing, best sound editing, best production design. I definitely think it should win that one. And I don't think it's even close. And that's all it was nominated for. No best editing? No best score? Well, that's a little bit disappointing. Definitely didn't get a Best Picture nomination, but Get Out did, which really, as much as I like the film, I don't know if it's a Best Picture type of movie. But Shape of Water, totally. I hope it wins it, because you know what? Shape of Water was a tough film to really get to gel, let alone to have it be as amazing as it is, because this is a movie that is about a woman who falls in love with a fish, and Del Toro did the nearly impossible. He made a compelling, fascinating, entertaining, funny, witty film all about that story. I mean, and he made it believable. He made it connect with you. And you made it something that wasn't just a total laughable, ridiculous joke. And if anybody deserves Best Picture, I definitely do feel it's that film, because that's the one that was the hardest to pull off out of all these nominations. Because it's a love story about a woman who falls in love with a fish. That's not easy to make that come across as anything other than some like trauma movie or some direct-to-video piece of shit, and he makes it this wonderful, amazing, magical film. But anyway, I don't know what else to say. I'm all out of energy. I'm all out of breath. I got nothing else. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.